Become excellent at interviewing and don't be shy. A lot of interviewers, especially if they're not trained to be interviewed, most people just wing it, have specific questions that you ask.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Connections That Matter, where we have awesome conversations with Northern Colorado's best networkers. We find all the secret tips and tricks about what makes them successful. Today, I have Scott Mulhollen from Vensure on the show today. Scott, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed getting to know you and network with you in the community. But if people haven't met you yet, share a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, so I am with Vensure Employer Solutions. I'm a business consultant, and what I do is really help business owners and those that run the operations behind a business with their overall employee lifecycle. You might ask, well, what is that? Well, that's anything from recruiting and hiring, onboarding, payroll and HR compliance, which nobody really wants to deal with, let's be honest, all the way through offboarding, benefits, workers' comp. I mean, I could sit here for 3 hours, which we don't have, I know, and tell you all the different things that we do. But most importantly, what I love doing is sitting down with a business owner and looking at ways that I can take things off of their plate so they can focus on their business and not all the administrative tasks and headaches and putting out fires when it comes to that entire employee life cycle.
You mentioned that because hopefully, I mean, when people hire someone, they hope it's all going to work out and it's going to be great and they're going to grow. But sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
What would you say is some of the mistakes people make in the employee life cycle?
Well, you mentioned one right there, and it's become even more difficult in today's world because hiring someone and hiring the right person can get so cloudy, and they're in a fog because we have AI and they have these bots that will auto apply for people, and they even if it's a simple minimum wage job, they might get 100, 150 applications, and it just gets crazy. So not utilizing software to your advantage is a big mistake in the hiring process. I think the other biggest thing is that when a business owner starts their business, they usually start it for a lot of different reasons. Most likely they want to make good money and they feel they can do it better than where they worked before, or they had a great idea. And eventually they become an employer. Well, a lot of these entrepreneurs, let's say like a painter, for example, he loves to paint and he gets his own truck and then he goes and starts hiring his employees. He never went to probably business school or learned how to run a business. And now he's thrown into the mix of all this compliance and they just don't know what to do. So they start hiring all these vendors and providers and brokers and it just becomes a mess. They end up managing all those relationships and all the employees rather than focus on growing their business and being strategic about their goals and what they want to accomplish.
Give me like 2 or 3 main tips when trying to hire that you would recommend somebody to be successful.
Yeah, so first off is become excellent at interviewing and don't be shy. A lot of interviewers, especially if they're not trained to be interviewed, most people just wing it, have specific questions that you ask. And then secondly, another tip would be have a scoring criteria. Most people have a list of, okay, these are the 2 or 3 things on the job description, maybe 10 things, but they're not all weighted the same thing. And then when they bring candidates in, they have no scoring system that allows them to weight what's the most important thing in the process.
Just going with the gut.
Going with the gut, which gut can lie, that's for sure.
No, I think, Scott, you talked about like, as businesses grow and evolve, they find a solution based on whatever the current problem is. So they bring in a solution for whatever this is, and then they grow and evolve there, and they need a different solution.
That's right.
And then they look, and it's like this Frankenstein conglomerate of all these solutions, but that not be the right overall solution.
Right. We call them silos. And each silo, they usually don't talk to each other. And so there's usually data that they need to share. Perfect example is like a health benefits broker. They need payroll data. They need what's called a census, and so they have to ask one provider for the broker what to get information, and they don't talk. Now imagine if you had 8 or 9 of those relationships that you have around the business. Now you're really managing those relationships and your employees,
right.
And again, not really running your business to grow and take care of your employees.
So when you come in and you help people consolidate, what is the real solution that you're providing?
Yeah, so I do what's called an employee lifecycle diagnostic. And so similar to what I was mentioning with hiring, where there's a scoring system, I actually equate hours to the amount of time people are spending through that entire process. I'll walk them through step by step. Sometimes it takes a half an hour, sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes even longer, depending on the size of the business and how complex the business is. And I'll give them ideas on how to make it more efficient, effective, and take things off their plate. Not all the time is what Vensure can do for them. I've been doing this for this particular industry 15 years. I've been working the business to business as a consultant for 25 years now. And so I've seen a lot of ways that businesses have been run and probably shouldn't be run.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
I bring that experience when I come and talk to them and sit down with them. And it's not like a dry, oh my gosh, we're running through this diagnostic. It's just a casual conversation that we have and walk through. I like to do it over coffee or lunch just to make it more enjoyable through that process. And then I give them a diagnostic and shows how many hours that they can save by cutting out some of the things that they're doing and changing and outsourcing some things that might make sense to them.
So is it as simple as, is it a math problem or a time issue? You just showing them data?
It's not in a sense, because a lot of times they don't even realize how much time they're spending doing things.
Yeah.
So asking the right questions. And so I was trained 25 years ago in Sandler sales. And so we always walk down what's called the pain funnel and asking the right questions. There's 8 or 9 questions that you walk through. And so when we get to a point where, there's a part where I think I can help, I'll walk them through and then find out how that's really affecting their business, not just dollar-wise, but also time-wise, so we can see what we can cut out to make it more effective for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people watching this in B2B sales. So break that down a little bit for me in simple terms, but what can people do to ask better questions?
Yeah, so let's say you and I are doing a diagnostic and you tell me, well, I'm just having a hard time finding the right people. The first question is always, well, tell me a little bit more about that. And then you would share that. The next question I would typically ask is, go back and give me a specific example of where you were doing this. Because now you're getting the person to think, versus it's just this abstract thing. Now you're really making it personal. And the goal is really to get to the pain level. And most people think pain is a problem. That's what we call a pain indicator. If you break your arm, breaking your arm is the pain indicator, but the pain is actually trying to move your arm. So I'm trying to get to like frustrated, overwhelmed, angry, upset. Those are the words I'm trying to get out of the person that I'm sitting with, because then that really lets them know, oh, wow, this is really affecting me. And so the next question I usually ask when I'm going through that process is, how long have you been having this problem? And they don't realize a lot of times, well, I've been trying to find this right person for 3 years now. Wow. 3 years. That's a long time, And so, how's that really affected your business is the next question. How's that affected you as the business owner? You're spending all this time and going through all these different employees and haven't found the right one. What have you done to try to fix it as well?
Yeah.
And then as they're talking, you don't even have to tell me the emotions. Usually it's starting to boil up, and I say, man, you sounds like you're really frustrated that you haven't been able to find this business. What would you like to try next in the process? And that's where I come in, and not right then and there, but later as I give them the full solution, to show them where they can make a difference with what they're doing compared to with us versus what they're doing already.
Well, how do you even get to the conversation, right? Like if you're meeting, like especially in B2B, there's gatekeepers. You're walking in, you're not talking to the decision maker, and if you are, maybe you get just a brief introduction. But how do you get up to like that maybe there's a list of people that you want to drop in and stuff, to actually getting that appointment where those kind of questions are a natural part of the conversation.
Yeah, that's, to me, for me personally, that's the hardest part, getting in. So that's why I've been part of networking groups where in the past it's been a different, BNI was a big one. They just, and that helped a lot to get in the door. But, it's just been, that takes up a lot of time. And so finding that right balance, finding that right networking group. More importantly, what I call the power group, those that are doing the same type of business. Like I've been in networking groups where the trades do really well. The painters, the real estate, the carpet cleaners, the plumbers, they all kind of surround each other and help each other, which is great. But then there's what I call the B2B guys and girls where they are, the insurance brokers, the payroll or HR people, and we get in financial advisors, those that are calling on business owners, and then just working those relationships. That's the number one way to get into business, is really through a relationship. And so networking has always been top of my list. Secondly would be, I like doing I call them drops. Some people call them drop-ins, stop-bys, whatever. Pulling on the door and walking in. That's how I cut my teeth in sales, actually. I work for Staples outside sales, and I had to pull 30 to 40 doors a day and sell next day delivery. Back when 25 years ago, there was no Amazon. There was no next day delivery for small businesses. So that was cutting edge stuff. And so that's what I did to cut my teeth in sales. And so it's natural for me to just walk and just talk. They can't hang up on you if you're in front of them. And even if you walk in, they're like, oh my gosh, here's another salesperson. I can usually overcome that because my personality and just try to chat with them. So, I'm sorry, I know you weren't expecting me, but and usually I'm just trying to get information. I'm trying to find who the decision maker is, how many employees, all the pertinent information that I need. And then what I do is I go back and I try to find a connection through like LinkedIn on those drops that I'm doing.
So the first drop, it's like an exploratory fact-finding mission.
Fact-finding, absolutely. Yeah. Because I got to make sure it's in are they headquartered here? They even make the decision in this office that I walked into, who's actually, making the decisions. It's not always the CEO. Sometimes it's the CFO, or it's not always a business owner, depending on the size of the business. In my particular, what I'm doing now, I always try to also find out, because part of our offering that we give is also health benefits. We give small businesses health benefits that are equal to or better than companies that are 100 or 200 employees. And we have a unique program that allows them to do that. So I want to find out what's the renewal date and which carrier they're using. I'm trying to get those facts when I walk in the door. It makes my job a whole lot easier, because usually that's the number one reason that people come to Vensure, is that decision date on health benefits.
Awesome. Yeah. So understanding the timing of it. You also, from what I've seen, have made it a team sport. Where you bring in some people and you do drops together. Yeah,
and it doesn't matter if they are in the same industry. I did it with somebody her and her husband own an IT company, and she's a business owner. It was actually made my job easier because she was local to I think it was Windsor. And so she was, I'm a local business owner. We're just out here popping in together. We're friends. I started that, probably early in my sales career. I went out with my best friend. He sold corporate cell phone plans for like T-Mobile, and had nothing to do with office supplies that I was selling, but we just did it together and made it a lot more fun and enjoyable than trying to do it on your own.
Yeah.
And my first VP of sales always said, if those that have never done drops, I'll be happy to go out. If you're here in Northern Colorado, give me a call. We'll go out and do it for a couple hours. My first VP of sales always said, if you didn't get kicked out of an office at least once a day, you weren't doing your job. So that's where I kind of get the tough, tough skin of doing those type of things.
Yeah. But in Northern Colorado, there's a lot of, I don't know, I feel like it's a big, small place where, word gets around. I mean, the rejection, if you're on a street, then there's not that many people in there.
Yeah, here, and that's why I don't go into other places. I'm not going to name specific cities, but I don't go into other places in the Denver metro area. It's much easier in Northern Colorado than anywhere else. People are so they're a lot nicer than anywhere else. At least have a short conversation with you.
Well, they're relational, building those connections for you. I know referrals are a big part of your business. That you refer out, you get referrals from. So beyond the drop strategy, if you get a client, now you're getting referrals or giving referrals to that client. Unpack that. How do you develop those referral relationships?
I would say the number one thing is I always try to give first.
Okay.
I was taught that, honestly, in BNI, givers gain is what they teach. And so if you're just waiting for something to be put on your lap first, it's not going to work. You need to be able to find something. So if I'm working with like a merchant service person that does a credit card processing, when I'm out doing my drops, I'm looking at what machines that they're having. And if I just met with my buddy that owns one in the other networking group, I'm just asking, oh, by the way, who are you using? Are you happy with them? That's a simple question I can add. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing, but I'm trying to find that one referral to give to him. As soon as I give that person a referral, they're more likely to give me a referral. Maybe. It doesn't really matter to me. I like giving. It feels good to give a referral to someone else and they close that business. It feels just as good as closing it yourself in my book.
Well, and I will tell you, as a disarm tactic, if you identify a need of somehow and you're able to provide a resource that doesn't directly benefit you in any way, but you're able to just do right by the client, it's like an assist in basketball. Like they get all the goodwill from that and get connected from that. I think people listen a little differently if you lead with helping first.
It happens quite organically also with the diagnostic that I do, because there might be something else I mentioned before that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. It might be like, oh, we really hate our CRM. Well, we don't do CRM. But I have a networking guy that works for HubSpot that I know. And I can say, hey, why don't you just have a conversation with this person from HubSpot and see what, just have a conversation and see what they say. I've worked with him for 5 years and people, even though they don't know me from Adam, other than the 5 minutes or 10 minutes that we spent, just giving them somebody else that you know and trust is way better than them having to go and Google something or do all the research themselves. They'd rather go with somebody that has a recommendation from somebody that they're talking to.
So who do you seek out as potential referral partners, people that would use you as a resource for their business or somebody who can pass along future clients to you?
Well, mine's one of the easiest because pretty much anybody pays people. So unless you're all 1099s, that you're hiring. So, but for me personally, the ones that I have the best relationships with and we can pass them back and forth would be brokers. Even though we do health insurance and workers' comp, we actually get most of our business from brokers because we become a secondary resource for them, because they might go and look at all the carriers, not find a real great plan, send it to me. Our program is completely different than anything they can find. Nobody can use our master policy. So I'm not competition for brokers. I'm actually an addition, gives them another arrow in their quiver that they can utilize as well. So brokers, both on the health insurance side and then the commercial side, especially workers' comp. And then financial advisors, because we do offer a 401k. So any B2B really that are out there, even like the person I mentioned before in the IT company, they're dealing with business owners all the time. That's who I want to talk to. Is anybody who's just talking to business owners, that's a good group of people for all of us to work with each other to refer business.
It's so interesting because it's like, okay, well, I offer this and Scott also offers this. So a lot of people in networking were like, oh, well, let's, go after different people. But
it almost seems like what I do is anti-network, because it's like I'm trying to put it all under one big umbrella, which I am.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it from a referral from a broker or from a financial advisor, because I'm giving them something that they don't have, that they can make it better for their clients, make their clients happier. And we have a referral program, so they're still getting paid on it, so they're not losing out by giving me that referral as well.
Well, what would you say is the input of your business between the networking and then stuff that you're just doing through traditional sales, like the drops and stuff?
As far as
the percentage of business, like the percentage of new clients.
I would say probably 2/3 come from networking.
Awesome.
Just because I've been doing it so long, I know, the tricks of the trade to how to get referrals and to give referrals and work together. And then probably, the rest of it is from drops. I never pick up the phone call. Well, I shouldn't say a third way. I do have an SDR that makes appointments for me, but me personally, a third would be from the drops.
Well, and you talked about those small groups, the power team, if you will. Yeah. When it sounds like in those kind of rooms, you're having the higher level conversations about how to be strategical. It sounds like you're more tactical.
Yeah.
For those who haven't, maybe they just do like mixers or they drop into networking events, but they haven't really plugged into that small group teamwork.
Right.
What is the difference between that and just showing up to a networking event?
It's kind of like just going to the chamber and passing out business cards. You're not going to close a lot of business that way.
Right.
You have to be strategic. When I'm in a room and it's like when we have the next level networking, we do the speed, dating, networking, speed networking,
many one-ones.
Yeah. And, I'm willing to talk to anybody because you can get a referral from anybody. It doesn't matter who you're sitting across from, but let's say we talk to 5 or 6 people and one of those is in a construction business. They own a construction company. Now that's technically a prospect for me. That's like top of my list, but I might also sit across from somebody that's doing B2B type of sales, following up with them in the next 24 hours saying, hey, I really enjoyed working with you. Let's go grab a coffee. I know we only got a few minutes together. Let's sit down and let's find out how we can help each other. Just had a conversation this morning. Guy scheduled at 8 a.m. on Monday morning on my calendar. And he wanted me to come to Fort Collins. I live in Longmont. I was like, no, we're going to do Zoom if that's okay. And he's a business broker. He helps sell businesses and franchises and things like that. And he's like, I could come across that in a diagnostic where I'm like, hey, we're looking to try to set this up to sell in 2 years. I want to clean everything up. That's a perfect one for me. And I can then give him a referral because that has come up in diagnostics in the past when I've gone through those. But I would say the other piece that I would recommend, I did this when I've only been in Colorado for less than a year. So I'm at the point, I tried to find a networking group as soon as possible. I was sneakily invited to a BNI group, but that BNI group then brought me to network in action. And so, but one of the things that was also very successful was I would schedule, we would meet on a biweekly basis and sit down, and it was like 8 or 10 of us, maybe 12 at the most, all in the B2B sales market. Somebody sold copiers, somebody sold insurance, somebody, my buddy that sold cell phone services. Yeah. We would sit down and we'd literally put a spreadsheet together, and we'd have to bring either a prospect and a client or 2 prospects, and we put that on the spreadsheet. And we got real intentional. We wouldn't contact anyone on the spreadsheet until we talked to the person that put that contact there for us to be able to network to. And it worked really well. We closed a ton of business together just doing that format. It worked great because we were all talking to the same people that we could refer to each other.
And there's a different level of pure accountability when it's a smaller group. And if I'm producing, there's some pressure to make the other people produce, and everybody wants to help each other.
Exactly.
So Scott, how do people get in rooms like that? Because I think that's the ideal, but they don't know how to either create them or to find them. How do you, what advice would you give if somebody wants to network at that level?
Do it yourself. I mean, start it. Do it. I mean, that's what I did.
Take ownership.
Yeah. There are some, like I just found out this last week that like some of the chambers have lead groups, but again, they're broad. They're all the different industries that are passing, and that's fine. That's better. But the best is when you can find it when everybody's has the same focus, and find another guy that wants to, or a person that wants to do it with you as well, and start it together. And even if it just starts with 3 people meeting every 2 weeks or whatever time frame you want to do it, start that way and then start building from there.
And when you say you're meeting, you gave some insight of like, we're bringing people, we're putting them on the list. But what does the structure of those meetups look like?
We just went to go around the room and talk about the two people that we brought that day, and what we know about the business. That also helps too, because I mentioned the fact finding drops. Now I don't have to do that because that person, the other people in this room, can give me how many employees. They might not know the insurance broker or insurance carrier and all that stuff, but they can give me some intel. They definitely can tell me who the decision makers are. And the other thing is, I can then make a phone call, or a lot of times the most powerful thing is when that person sends an email to the decision maker and says, "Hey, I'd like to introduce you to Scott. I've been working with him for this many years, and he's helped these companies do XYZ." Super powerful, and then you're bypassing the gatekeepers and actually getting through to the person. So we would just go around and then. Sometimes there's somebody brings a real, what I call juicy one. That one's
ready to go.
This one's juicy. Like 3 people want to call on the same company. We kind of talk amongst ourselves. Okay, which one, is there been any discussion of which one of us in the group can call on that one first that makes the most sense based on maybe some pain that they found out at the one that brought it as a client.
Well, and having 3 or 4 or 6 whatever resources in the room, it opens up like who you can be valuable for. If maybe they're not in the market for my services, but for your services, they are. Now, like you said, make that connection, stay in their ecosystem, and it might come around, especially if you're advocating for me back. Oh, yeah, I love working with Andrew's clients. He does great. And then you drip like talking, giving the compliments, highlighting the things that they do, and it comes around. So it's definitely best to own the ecosystem and make it all a team sport that way. Yeah.
The other thing we would do is we would all have our computers there, and we say a name, and maybe it's a prospect and we're all trying to go after it. We put, when somebody knows the decision maker, somebody might be connected.
I'm
on LinkedIn. I'm a first degree connection on LinkedIn.
I actually have that person.
I went to high school with this person.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, great. That's
right on.
They just don't think about that. And we're all so busy in everyday lives. Unless I email somebody or ping somebody, hey, I'm trying to work on this one. Even that doesn't always work. But when you're sitting across from 4, 5, 6, 7 other people, and they're looking at the same people with you, oh my gosh, it's so powerful. It's crazy powerful.
Well, Scott, this has been an awesome conversation. Like I said, I really love networking with you and seeing you around all of the different communities. But if a business owner is watching this and maybe they're feeling like, oh my gosh, I got one of those Frankenstein businesses. I got a whole bunch of different services, need some cleanup. Or if I'm a B2B professional and it's like, ooh, I want to get closer to Scott, I want to get in one of those inner circle kind of rooms. What's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
Yeah, texting me. I'll give my phone number. I have no problem. It's 970-305-3095. Call or text me. Be happy to set it up and talk with you. You can also email me, scott.mulhollen@vensure.com. Be happy to chat with you. I'm a very laid back, easygoing type of guy. I don't even usually dress like this. I'm usually in jeans and that when we chat, especially Northern Colorado. That's the other thing I love about Northern Colorado. It's pretty relaxed, and I try to keep that. I love coffee, and I'm always buying. So, or breakfast, or even lunch sometimes. So I'm always buying. So
right on.
And instead of right there, just have a good cup of coffee or a good meal. How about that?
Especially with somebody who can make some good connections. Scott, this was awesome. And also, I see you around the events all the time. So in the show notes, there's a link to the events. You can network with awesome people like Scott. So, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll see you around Northern Colorado.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Hey all, thanks for watching. I love networking and building relationships with other Northern Colorado business leaders. So if you want to come meet some of these podcast guests, meet me, or meet some other amazing entrepreneurs in Northern Colorado, I would love to have you attend one of our next events. Go in the podcast description. There's a ways that you can see our upcoming schedule, and maybe you could be a future podcast guest as well. Thanks.